I think that there's a lot of Americans who are supportive of this effort to clear out government waste, including members of Congress on both sides of the aisle. But there's also concern by how much access Musk and DOJ staffers have to their private sensitive data. You're also on the House Oversight Committee, and given what we just talked about, Musk's investments with China and billions of dollars before the government, and now, potentially having access to all this private sensitive data and not having full transparency on what is happening with that.
Yes, ma'am.
What information do you actually have on what DOJ is doing with that data? What are your questions? What do you want to know? Certainly, as a member of the oversight, you have some questions.
Well, first of all, Elon Musk, when he owned PayPal, they never had a breach of security. IRS is a nightmare, ma'am. You have folks that still haven't gone back to work 4 years after COVID. As a United States congressman, I can write a letter of concern over a constituent of mine having a problem with the IRS, and it takes up to 6 months for me to get a response.
Look, I'm not saying there's no problems with government agencies or the IRS.
Hold on. You asked me a question.
But you're not answering it.
And the IRS the IRS has hundreds of different groups that have access to this stuff, and yet no one's complained about that. You don't hear
there's checks and balances in place for the specific system. That's not true. Even the IRS, even politicals and the former IRS commissioner who was just on the show yesterday said even he didn't go to it, and it's highly unusual for politicals to have access to that system. Do you not have questions about what they're doing with the data, why they want access to private tax information from Americans? Do you not have those questions as a member of the Oversight Committee?
I have questions. The only reason you'd have questions is if you're doing something crooked, and you're going to see a lot of congressmen with red faces when they follow this paper trail back to members of Congress, ma'am. And that's the bottom line. Where were they fussing the last 3 or 4 years? I mean, we've had these groups different groups have access. Hundreds of different people have access to this that are nowhere in the scope of what needs to be. And yet no one raised one peep about it. Now Elon Musk gets a hold of it, and he's going to do something. He's going to make some changes that need to be made. And you all are pitching a fit. It's the same old line, and you attack the message carrier,
not the message. To be clear, you all were not pitching a fit. As I said, a lot of people think it's a good thing to weed out waste, but there are fair questions to be asking congressmen about these unelected people going in and having access to private information from America. How can you not be asking those questions? Those are very fair questions.
Ma'am,
but hold on, let me follow up with you. Hold on, because there's a difference between, listen.
Hey, hold on for a second. How many people at the IRS are elected? How many of those are elected, ma'am? You're proving my point. You've got all these people, and this is a very porous agency. We know that.
There's a difference between civil service and checks and balances in place in a small group and politicals who are going in, many of them young staffers who we know nothing about, really. Why don't you have those questions as a member of the Oversight Committee? If a Democratic administration was doing this, would you not be asking questions?
And the questions are being asked, ma'am, but I want you to look at these.
I'm not hearing them from you.
Those are Japanese. Those are Japanese rifle. That, guess what? My dad was 21 years old when he killed the people that carried that. You all don't question the fact that we these 22-year-old people, the ones that fight our dadgum wars, but yet
there's a difference between members of the greatest generation going to war and risking their life to serve our country, and young staffers going in with their computers and trying to get access to personal data. There is a big difference, but I want to follow up here. I just want to follow up because I think this is an important question.
You won't answer your own questions, ma'am.
No, Congressman, hold on. I want to go to this question because, again, it's not a question of whether waste should be rooted out of the government. So many people agree with that. But now we're seeing it's the way it's being done. The government is trying to claw back several employees who oversaw nuclear weapons after they were fired. They realized, we made a mistake. We need these staffers who oversee nuclear weapons. A professor at the University of Maryland, Don Kettle, who specializes in civil service, told the Washington Post that, yes, the government is likely full of wasteful bloat, but said a clumsy fix is worse than no fix at all, saying it's like going to a meat market, getting a piece of steak, and trying to cut out the fat with a sledgehammer. That would only make a mess of the meat. Do you think, Congressman, that is a fair point, that the way this is being done is clumsy rather than methodical.
Again, you're upset about you're attacking the message carrier, not the results. You talk about nuclear secrets. You had a person who was in charge of nuclear secrets, a man who dressed up as a woman, would go into the airport and steal women's luggage, was overseeing those nuclear secrets under the Biden administration. And I never heard y'all say a peep about that. Again, man,
I don't know anything about that. I'll be transparent.
Elon Musk, well, you need to look it up. It's all over the internet. It's all over. He was
But the question is, this is unrelated to the people overseeing nuclear weapons being fired. And Elon Musk himself said, we're moving so fast, of course there will be mistakes. The question is, you know, some of these mistakes are really high stakes. Accidentally firing people overseeing nuclear weapons. Do you see that point?
Humans will make mistakes, ma'am, but currently these are bloated programs. You have no-show employees that are angry that they're having to go back to work, that they've moved, and they're not.
No one's disagreeing. There's bloat and waste.
Jobs were.
No one's disagreeing.
Well, then why are y'all not exposing it? Have y'all even talked about, hey, Mozambique? We sent them $10 million for circumcisions. Okay. I mean, goodness gracious, ma'am. Americans are paying.
We've been covering at length
salaries.
Where the money is going to.
No, you haven't. All y'all do is run down Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and you continuously do this, and that's why your ratings are in the tank, ma'am. All right,
Congressman Tim Burchett, we're going to leave it there. I do appreciate your time coming on and having this conversation. Thank you very much.